Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to dive into four really powerful verses from the Quran's 14th chapter, Surah Ibrahim. What's so amazing about them is how they give us this clear, practical blueprint for living a life of gratitude, moving from these beautiful, big ideas right into things we can actually do every day.
And I want to start off with the traditional Islamic greeting, Assalamu alaikum, peace be upon you. It's with that spirit of peace and sincerity that I hope we can begin our exploration together.
You see, in this part of the Quran, right after a whole series of deep parables about faith and disbelief, the tone kind of shifts. It moves from metaphor to a really clear set of instructions for believers. It's like, okay, we've had the theory, now here's the practice.
And that context is just so important. The Quran has just laid out these incredible images, like the good tree of faith with deep roots and good fruit versus the bad tree of disbelief that gets uprooted easily. So now it moves from those pictures to direct commands. It's a shift from here's what faith looks like to here's what faith does.
So the very first verse we're going to look at, verse 31, lays down two absolutely foundational pillars for a believer's life. And right away, it shows us that faith isn't just some private, internal feeling. No, it's about how that belief actually shows up in the world. I mean, listen to how direct that is. The instruction from God is just so clear, no ambiguity. It's a command to his servants, to those who believe, and it gives them two things to do, two very distinct but deeply connected actions. Establish your prayer and give in charity from what he's given you. And here you can really see those two pillars right next to each other. On one side, you've got prayer. That's our direct, personal, spiritual line to God. But on the other side, you have charity. That's our social responsibility to the people around us. The verse just beautifully links them together, showing that real worship is never, ever separate from how you treat others. They're really just two sides of the same coin.
And this just perfectly illustrates that good tree metaphor we were talking about from earlier in the chapter. You know, a healthy tree of faith isn't just about having strong roots of belief way down deep. It's about actually producing fruit that people can benefit from. And that's what prayer and charity are. They are the fruits, the visible, positive results of a faith that's alive and kicking.
Okay, so right after giving this big command, the Quran immediately follows up with some comfort, some motivation. Verse 32 gives this powerful, powerful assurance to anyone who tries to follow that guidance. Wow, that is such a simple statement, but it is so profound. Every single act of goodness, every little bit of charity you give, is known to God. It's a direct promise that your efforts are seen, they're noticed, and they are valued. So, what's the bottom line here? It's that no sacrifice is too small and no good deed ever goes unnoticed. It doesn't matter if other people see it or if it's done in total privacy. The verse is telling believers, don't worry, it's all recorded. Nothing is ever lost with God. All right, now the next verse, this one really zooms out. It shifts our entire perspective from just thinking about our actions to understanding the deep mindset that should be driving them. This is all about recognizing who the real, ultimate owner of everything truly is. And there it is. That's the core principle. Everything we think we have, our money, our time, our skills, our very breath, it all belongs to God in the end. We're just trustees. We're just caretakers of these gifts for a little while. This insight from the classical commentators is a total game changer. It completely reframes the whole act of giving. See, when we give charity, we're not actually losing something that was ours. We're simply returning a small piece of a trust back to its rightful owner for a purpose that he has decided. It's not just philanthropy. It's an act of stewardship. It's an act of gratitude. And of course, that understanding changes our intention, doesn't it? The best, purest form of giving is done liwajhi Allah, just for the sake of God alone. The goal isn't to get praise or a pat on the back or even a thank you from people. The real goal is to fulfill our duty to the owner, which purifies the whole act and makes it so much more meaningful.
So this all brings us to the final verse in our explainer today, and it really serves as this powerful conclusion to the whole idea. It restates God's absolute sovereignty and reminds us that this core message, it's not new, it's a timeless, universal truth that's always been there. The verse then poses this really sharp, rhetorical question. It's like, okay, given that God owns everything and he's the source of all real guidance, why on earth would anyone look for a different path or follow a different system? It really challenges you to think about where your values and your sense of direction are coming from. So, this last verse just hammers home a few core truths. It reminds us God's ownership is absolute. This command to be conscious of God and to do good, that's been the message of all the prophets. And then it highlights two of God's amazing attributes. He is Ghani, he's totally self-sufficient. He doesn't need anything from us. And he is Hamid, he is always worthy of all praise, whether we praise him or not. Our worship and our charity, they benefit us, not him.
So when you pull it all together, you really see it, don't you? These 4 verses give us a complete blueprint. They start with the hands-on, practical pillars of prayer and charity. Then they give us the divine comfort that our deeds matter. And then they ground it all in this foundational mindset of God's ownership and our accountability to him.
And so I'll leave you with this final question to think about. If we truly deeply believe that everything we have is a gift, a trust from God, how does that completely transform not just what we give, but how and most importantly, why we give? Thank you so much for joining me.